I tell you what, I'm really lucky today. We're not going to go for a long time. We're going to go for as long as it takes, though. And I'm going to start out the old Ogre way. I would like to thank everybody that showed up for Ogre Radio, Saturdays, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 7 o'clock in merry old England. So tune in for Ogre Radio. We're going to go at least 2 hours on Saturdays. They will never be archived, folks, because we found out the hard way that the man has his eye on your beloved, ever-loving, blue-eyed ogre. And he does want to know if the ogre is using his music, Zero. And so before I start saying your name and RPRs and everybody else is getting y'all to talk, I'm going to play a very quick song. I don't believe there's anything they can do about this. They haven't to me yet. And maybe it's because I suck so bad that it's nothing like the original. I don't know. And I don't know. So here you go. This is a song called The Alpha and the Omega by the Mountain Goats. And like so many of their other songs, if you don't like it, well, it only lasts for about a minute and a half. So relax. On the morning you went away, the air was cloudy and the sky was gray. I had boiled peanuts for breakfast from Cairo, Georgia. The air was wet, my face was wetter. The pink flower along the western window made me feel better. I turned the air conditioner on. I found a note on scented stationery. You were long gone. I had boiled peanuts for breakfast from Cairo, Georgia. I popped the top off the aluminum can. I felt the brine slide down my fingers, man. It was warm. It was warm on my skin. I felt the cold draft moving on in. I had boiled peanuts for breakfast, Cairo, Georgia. Go check out the Mountain Goats if you don't know who they are. They will make you happy. If they don't, they might induce you to drink bleach. Either one could be good. They say the afterlife is great and merry, so I don't know. I'm not endorsing drinking bleach, but I'm just saying that if you did, maybe it would be better than what... I'd just forget about it. How you doing, Zero? Oh, everybody's muted. So I'm expected to now editorialize. I just did a little bit of music, and now I'm supposed to also talk as soon as I'm done with it. Now, we were talking about some things, boys, so I guess I'll lead you on. And it was so interesting to me as I was guzzling some water and thinking about James Comey and what's been going on lately. Man, in England, it seems to me you have a buffoon, a blithering buffoon as your prime minister, and her name is Theresa May. And that fool keeps calling snap elections, and the first one, I guess, went okay, but this last one... No UKIPs. Zero. And, I do have a slight echo on somebody, so turn the broadcast off. There you go. Whoever did that, that's good. No, not yet. So what do y'all think, man? What's going to happen now? Is the Brexit over?
I don't think it is over. We've heard that Mr. Farage is coming out of retirement and joining back to UKIP, so I think there's going to be a new fight on hand.
What happened?
Well, I'm waiting for you to talk now because before we started here, there was no dead air. Now you're not saying anything, Zero. We're talking about UKIP and all this debauch.
Well, no, he was talking and it sounded like he faded out.
Oh, are you there? I thought he was done. Are you there, RPR?
Yeah.
Say hello.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here.
you just went dead silent, RPR. I was like, what? Anyway, regardless, I'm just like, you know, I've stepped on some landmines in my time, in work, in my personal life, especially in political regards. But you guys over in England, you just don't get it, do you? We made it, but we have our own challenges here in America, but we barely made it by the skin of our teeth with getting you-know-who in office after having you-know-who in office. You guys had the one chance to tell the place that is crushing you to death, that is basically keeping you under their claw and squeezing the blood out of your carcass. And I have no words to tell you how stupid you guys are. You need to fix it or you're done. End of story.
Well, I think there is a way for us to fix it. And as I was just saying, that Nigel Farage is actually going to relinquish a bit of time from being an MEP to coming back to UKIP. Because while he was running UKIP, that's when they were seeing their major ups.
So you think that's going to be more of a hard Brexit than what it was, I would consider a mild flow Brexit?
Well, if Mr. Farage gets his way, which tends to be the consensus of us lower class working people, then yeah, he will put the pressure on to go for the hard Brexit.
Yeah, I was just asking if you think it was going to be harder, if it was going to be mild, because everybody's saying, yeah, it's going to happen. So see, that's very mild sauce, but we want the hot sauce. We want the hard, metal up your, fist in the air kind of look. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. Hard Brexit. And again, that's why I reiterated, do you think it was going to be harder or mild sauce? You know what I'm saying?
But mild sauce would be very not beneficial for the British at all. It won't even be beneficial for the Europeans, because there's going to be animosity either way. So you go hard all the way. That's the only answer.
So it's really just how much animosity on a whole, just the level of it. It's going to happen. The animosity you said is going to be there. It's just how much do people want is the question.
Put it this way: when you go to extremes, it's probably better to have extremes than a middle ground, if that makes sense.
So it really has become an all or nothing. Everybody, see, I've heard other people say, yeah, this is a hard Brexit, meaning it's going to happen. To me, it's now going to be a hard Brexit, as in difficult to do. So it's now come to the point where what people who are not in the UK or the European Union look at it as a certain way, and now we're looking at it as you either do or you don't, i.e. the hard Brexit, and which is what you're saying is going to be either, and it's going to happen one way or the other.
Well, it needs to happen. It really does need to happen. We're giving consensus away that, weakening our position. As soon as you start weakening your position, you're going to be open up lots of little loopholes for them to gain ground on you. And you just don't want to do that in negotiations.
Yeah, I'm not a political analyst. I'm simply saying what I see from where I'm at, because additionally, a bit of a thing that I'm making a correlation here. I'm thinking that Theresa May and James Comey both were they blundered it big time for both parts, because she had the basic idea from my viewpoint over here that the Tories were going to sweep it, as opposed to James Comey thinking in this situation he's going to get away scot-free, which neither case happened. She blundered it and he blundered it. And we already knew, the thing is, we knew James Comey was going to blunder it. Most people probably foresaw Theresa May blundering it, just not as bad. What do you think?
No, I don't think we did see her blundering it that bad. She just dug herself her own grave by adding extra policies. And they were not needed to be brought to the forelight. Those policies were just stupid. If she just stayed with her Brexit manifesto, the fucking board and won. But no, she had to add extra things which persecuted certain areas, which Sargon and the British have already pointed out.
Holy crap, did you watch the 9-hour marathon stream they had on that, man? I mean, you're right. They pointed out so much, though. I mean, my gracious, man. The Britishers, Sargon, and a few others about 2 or 3 days ago. It was the night of the election. You know, they were up all night. And I'm going to tell you what, for my dime, which I paid not one stiver did I pay, nor pound, nor pence, I got the best frickin' coverage from British people on that stream that I think I could have possibly got. Because I was going back and forth from that to BBC. And BBC, man, I don't want to be disrespectful, so I won't say anything.
Bias Broadcasting Company.
Yeah, Big Black Cock is another thing that acronym is known for.
Yeah.
And I mean, like chickens. I was just looking at Nigel. Y'all said Nigel Farage. I went out to have a ciggy because my wife's going to come home and she doesn't smoke, and I don't really smoke until I quit drinking. And so, but I was out looking at Nigel smoking a Marlboro, and you said something very interesting to me, because it used to be the good advice was don't go too extreme one way or the other. You'll fall in the ditch. But RPR, I agree with you right now. You have to be extreme. Something is happening that is making it so the will of the people is not happening in Great Britain. They wanted a Brexit. They don't want people to be able to pour in from Germany because I've heard from people. I won't mention the Britisher. It's like, well, that won't really affect us yes, as long as you're part of the European Union. If Merkel lets a bunch of people that say they're juvenile folks that need shelter from Syria, but really they're 40 and now they're a citizen, am I right or wrong? Doesn't that mean they can basically come to England at least very easily?
Extremely easily, especially if there's no vetting. You know, this is why we need vetting. You know, if they're a kid, they've got to prove that they're a kid.
Oh, you can go on about that, because I was thinking of Cali. I was thinking about the lorry drivers that are just trying to come over under the tunnel and whatever, and there's like people trying to hijack them. And what happens when these people can just come in to Wales, sir?
Well, if they come into Wales, they'll have probably what we'd like to refer to as a Scottish welcome.
I'm hoping that.
And I've noticed that
pillow party in a way.
Well, yes, Zero, because I've noticed that in Scotland there was some people tried to blow up something in Glasgow, and some Glaswegians kicked him in the balls. And like, honestly, we were talking about this on a stream about a week ago, and then so I've noticed that in Wales and in Scotland they don't do a lot of that. It's like they don't try that shit over there.
I know in Iowa, at least
it's like our Texas.
At least between the gangs here, when somebody tries to pull something, they'll pull them up. They'll do the pillow party, and it's not bars of soap; it's batteries in a pillowcase, and whoop their asses. And I'm like, that's what we need to do more often, to let people understand that if you're going to come over here, you're going to behave, or otherwise, and if you're not wanted here, don't be here.
Yep. Well, Iowa is a good example of that. Michigan, Texas, North Carolina. There's some things you don't do in certain places. The problem I have is why can't, man, I got to be careful. No, I don't. I love all my British friends, but I'm not going to be careful. Why can't all my British friends act like the Welsh and the Scottish and say, no, here's a line and you don't cross it? They're fighting that with Dankula right now, and I just did a little short thing about some people that burned a Quran in Worcester, however the fuck you say that. And they're going to put him in jail. Holy.
Oh, it was Worcestershire, was it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I put a link to the thing on that dealio. That's Worcester. Yes, Worcester. He was like, I can't get a fire going, but he already had a big bonfire going. He was like, he started throwing pages of the Quran in it. I'm sorry. The Quran. And
Thank you.
No worries. And then he threw the cover in there. And then, anyway, man, we need to mock these people. And who's better at satire and mocking folks than the English? They've taught us all how to do it. They invented it. making fun of their kings and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I didn't mean to derail it because I want more of your thoughts on that. What is it? I mean, we don't have to go in that direction, but in my mind is clicking. What is it about the Scottish and the Welsh where they did that shit in Manchester, they did it in London? What's the big city in Wales? It
would have to be Cardiff.
Cardiff, that's what I thought. Man, Cardiff, go Cardiff. Anyway, the footballers, I do root for them. So I should have known that was their city. When's the last time there was a terror strike in Cardiff, sir?
I don't think there's ever been a terrorist strike in Cardiff. It's quite strange because Cardiff and Newport, which is the near-in city to Cardiff, they're quite high Muslim communities in both cities, but yet there has never been any trouble.
Well, maybe they've assimilated. Do you know any Muslim? Do you know Muslim folks
are you,
there?
A fucking comedian?
Sorry, I just pipe in for a second. It's Worcester, Mass.
Worcester.
Welcome to Worcester.
Worcester.
So you're saying that's spelled the same way, Clint?
What's that?
Because I'm not a very good speller. Everybody knows that. So
no.
Worcester, Mass and Worcester, England is spelled the same way?
Oh,
Worcestershire.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought the guy who burned the Koran was in Worcester, Mass, or he was in Massachusetts.
No. Because we don't arrest people for that shit yet here. I called out, and this is not a call for violence. Welsh people, English people, Mother Island, rise up. All y'all should be out in your front yards, even if you're Muslim, burning a Koran today. All of you should be. And saying, well, if you're going to arrest these good people that were making a joke and also showing that they just blew up folks. Little girls at that. Oh, can't we? It's too soon. RPR. Can't we make fun of them now and burn their book?
We should have been making fun of them from day one.
I can't make fun of them because they have the 12th century mentality and they're psychotic Looney Tunes. They're not meant to be taken funny. They're meant to be taken as a serious, viable threat with that particular ideology. Now, their behaviors, on the other hand, yeah, that's fucking ludicrous. You got me on that.
But then again, the Scots and the Welsh, their mental thinking is still in the 12th century.
But that's the kind of mentality I can think, because at least while they don't adhere to tribalism, they do, give or take God, country, family kind of mentality, which you should have.
Yeah, I was on this stream talking about Islam the other day, and we were talking about this. There's an imam that's actually talking, talking truth to Islam, actually, calling out its violent roots and stuff. And my buddy was thinking that he's, they're gonna kill him eventually or whatever because his tweets are way too spicy. And they're
gonna put a contract out on him. Period.
So, but there's a thing going on. The only thing we could come up with. We talked about it for another hour and a half. It's the thing we keep talking about, right? But this idea of holding up the good ones like him, trying to spread the word there, or ex-Muslims who have left Islam, get with those people when they protest, because that's like the most legitimate form of protest. And today I retweeted Tommy Robinson saying, hey, here I am with ex-Muslims and Sikh people protesting Sharia, and I'm getting called a racist. It's ridiculous. But that's one solution that seems to be a positive step. Maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
People are just gonna have to pick sides and go with it, because that's what it's gonna come down to. And it's gonna be a literal bloody mess of some sort. But the fact that Tommy Robinson had ex-Muslims who basically said, hey, look, the reason we are, we're from the country we're from, but we don't believe in this religious ideology is because we've seen what this does. And he's like, yes, we all understand this too. So those people are really being progressive in the way of good progress, real progress, not liberal social justice warrior ideology of progress, because they understand that this has to change. They're basically trying to initiate Luther's reformation of the Catholic Church for Islam. These people are. And, well, we all know what happened with Luther and the Catholic Church. And that's why I have the reformation of the Catholic Church in general. And so when you've got the people calling Tommy Robinson a racist, that's all they can do because they ain't got nothing on anybody else. So Tommy Robinson realizes, yeah, come on, call me names, get it over with because you got nothing else. And that's all there is to it. He is able to brush it off. And the people that he's supporting and he's saying, hey, look, these guys over here are trying to do something real, they're going to have his back, and that's what's going to count. So the people that are calling names, calling Tommy Robinson a racist because he's a white Englishman, that's all they've got.
Race. They tried to kill him in prison, man. Tommy Robinson is
and
a
he
fucking
still beat
hero.
their ass.
Whatever he did, he don't really talk about it. I guarantee you one thing, he didn't lay down and cry in the corner and convert to Islam. That's what they do to Englishmen in prison. A lot of them get converted in prison because they get like dogpiled and they're like, oh yeah, of course, and then they get it's like Stockholm syndrome. They get out and they can't let it go because these people actually dogged them and psychologically. Oh man, Tommy Robinson is a hero. Anybody that wants to dog him should try to walk a mile in that man's shoes.
That dude is so hardcore, man. I've been like, I first saw him at the not the Manchester, but the London truck attack. I saw him live tweeting, live periscoping from it. I was like, whoa, that guy's crazy. And I started watching him. He's just awesome, man.
I would dare say if anybody wants to challenge Tommy Robinson, sit down, have a burger and beer with him, and try to outwit him. And then when you can accomplish that, then maybe you have some semblance of credibility. Otherwise, you guys pull the shit you pulled, you ain't got nothing. You can't do nothing to the man.
That's what's.
You know
that's
you're
why.
gonna lose.
That's why I look up to him so much because he does seem to be like the kind of guy that won't lay down and take an ass kicking in any way. In other words, his ideas are as strong as his strength. You know, as his physical strength. He just, I really look up to Tommy, man. He's a hell of a guy. I doubt he'd ever watch this, but if you ever do, Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, the guy's solid as a rock. I mean, everything I've heard from him, I mean, he's just got balls of steel. Just another dude that's out there fighting the good fight, hardcore. Deserves credit.
Oh, yeah. Well, now I wanted to talk a little bit about it, but we still have a British guy here, so, and I just heard all the answers, so I don't even know why I'd want to beat a dead horse. I'm not going to be here forever. Got on Butterbit's stream earlier. Butter, I call her. She's great. We talked. Very nearly viral was there. There's some controversy floating around, you know, whether or not they're. I don't know what happened. I did tweet Lacey, and I don't think anything severe happened. But I do think it was a mix of feelings that were already afloat before the stream and a bit of acting. I do think it was both. But it was funny to me. I don't know. So, Butter, I don't know if she's still watching or not. She was earlier. She said something about she's still nervous. Don't be nervous. These people are good friends. Good friends do what they do. And, man, God save England. All this stuff with Count Dankula and now the Worcester man, with the Quran, you know, I don't know all this stuff, man. It's time that the island, because here's what I believe. It's just like it is here, RPR. We hear all this stuff coming from the media, and they tell us the way they want us to think it is. But in my heart of hearts, now, I think that 9 out of 10 Britishers, be they Scottish or from the Isle of Man or from wherever they be from, would say no. If somebody wants to make fun of someone like we did King George, and they had fat King George, and like he was the carriage, and they were like riding his fat ass, and these people from Parliament were whipped. I mean, come on, man. You know, y'all invented that shit. You can't tell somebody that they can't burn a Koran or make a pug dog do a Nazi thing or write a funny song or make fun of Hitler like Cleese did in Faulty Towers. You can't do that. Not in England. You can't do it for long. You can do it maybe for a little bit, for a season. But eventually, the Brits will make fun of you. And when they do that, that means they're this close to fucking making you wish you were not born. So I think it's time to quit pressing those buttons. Let them do the Brexit like they want. Let them be English. Let them be Britishers. And leave them the fuck alone. Comey! And you were like robot and shit, Clint, but I don't give a fuck. I mean... And I know Zero, thank you for being here. But the last bit of this before we go into some fun shit, if you're still hanging around, will be like 20 minutes of Comey. What the fuck? He perjured himself. He lied. If I was an FBI agent, and I was, because here's the number one rule for the FBI or the CIA, any government agency. If someone comes and questions you, listen, don't say a fucking word or you're stupid. I don't care if they make you wait for 4 days in a room. Don't say a fucking word. Because if you say, oh, on August 17th last year, I had waffles for breakfast, and then tell them a story, and then 3 hours later they question you, say, oh yeah, on August I had pancakes. You are going to jail for 10 years if they want you to, or 100,000. I mean, it's called a gimme, a gotcha. And so what he did was what he knows he can't do. He said one thing one time, another thing another. He perjured himself on live camera. I mean, I don't even want to go further than that. Comey is what I would consider a disgruntled employee that has just walked into your local postal station and opened fire. And it wasn't even, his gun wasn't even loaded, is the fucked up thing. He like walked in there as a click, 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 because it was nothing. That's it. That's my diatribe on that. I don't want Comey to die. I just want him to go away like he should.
You know, Comey is small potatoes compared to Loretta Lynch. Loretta Lynch is the one who needs to go away for two simple reasons. One, she has basically broken laws and mass that have hurt the American people. And secondly, she has basically threatened the American people who, if they speak out on Islam, she would have them persecuted to the fullest extent of the law. She has to go. That is not her goddamn job. You know, so if I were, you know, Comey, he's small potatoes. Loretta Lynch, her head needs to be on the proverbial chopping block in regards to politics, and she needs to be dealt with, as so does everybody else that she worked for previously, because she has failed to do her job immensely. She is just a sadistic little child in an adult's body. Comey, yeah, he's a fuck up. He butterfingered it big time, but small potatoes.
So check this out. I got a little bit of breaking news that I saw and tweeted about before I got on here when I was flipping around.
Loretta Lynch is in trouble?
No, but this is bizarre. This is truly bizarro world. Debbie Feinstein tweeted out saying that she wants Loretta Lynch to be questioned in a hearing or some shit like that.
Well, that's what they do. They turn on their own in a flash when something looks bad.
Yeah, I couldn't even believe it. I was like, what is this, a trap or something? How could this even be happening?
Well, it's basically, she's probably doing, I would say she's doing it to protect what little political career she has left or time she has left in the political world. But that's what politicians do when something isn't in their favor. They burn each other at the stake and try to minimize the damage as much as possible, because they know there are going to be people out there who always will be dumb enough to believe it or not care. Now, I personally am not going to lose any sleep over this kind of shit tonight, but if I were to wake up tomorrow morning and read the Quad City Times, Loretta Lynch, you know, under arrest for treason, I'd be like, I would just basically do a live stream from my cell phone, show my face, and say, called it. But that ain't going to fucking happen either. But, you know, you get my point.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about her with like you said, she's at the twilight of her political career. I mean, she is like 84 or some crap, isn't she? I mean, she's like way up there in age.
Yeah, her and Ruth Bader Ginsburg and McCain and all those fuckers that are anybody that's over the age of 76. It's time you all left. You know, my father is 76, and he's basically said, I can't believe these idiots are up there. And I said, why? I said, their mental faculties are going. And I'm like, oh, okay. And this is coming from my dad, who's at very high risk of getting Alzheimer's because it runs in the family. So when my father is saying this shit, I'm thinking, oh, he's serious. Yeah, these people have been in a position of power for too long, and it's time that everybody else in Generation X and the Millennials and Y start voting in people to change the dynamic, because baby boomers, your time is done. Fuck
but
off.
Zero, you can't expect McCain to have the your father and McCain are two different people, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank Christ for that.
Yeah, and so that said, I mean, you can't expect that. So in other words, your old man would say, well, no, son, I'm not so good at doing my own taxes anymore. Would you do that for me? Or, you know, he would willingly give up these roles that he would once play because he knows that he's not. But if you expect that from McCain or Waters, Maxine Waters, or Feinstein, did you hear Feinstein? What a doddering idiot. You know, Mr. and Mrs. America, if I had the votes, turn them in. You know, Feinstein just needs to go away. All of them, all those, just should be tests or something. Term limits, yes.
Well, they've tried to have term limits before, and it's always gotten shot down by, obviously, guess who? The political left, because they want what they want. They're so used to the lifestyles they've had.
And it's got to get through the Senate also, sir. Think about it.
And that's where lobbyists come in and play. You know, there's one thing in this world besides the consistency of change that everybody faces, and in the long run, it won't matter what you've done. That is death, the specter of death, whatever you want to call it, the Grim Reaper, whatever. Death comes for us all, and that comes for some of us sooner than others. And unfortunately, we lost another good man by the name of Adam West while we're stuck with some idiot named John McCain. Military record, veteran, POW, or not.
Oh, what a great segue. Before we do that, do you have any last words on what we just were talking about, Clint? If not, we're going to go right to Zero Cool and what he just said. So Zero, you know what I'm going to ask you. So, you know, a great man died, man. What did he mean to the world in general, the world at large? Adam West.
He for most Americans, at least in certain generations, is known for being Batman. And and I'm not going to go on a long diatribe about this, but he's done other things. He's really good, and he was always a genuinely good person. He had a sense of humor about himself. But if it wasn't for Adam West and Burt Ward doing Batman in the '66 season, we wouldn't have Batman today, because the Batman comics in general were basically near dead. And the Silver Age started in the 50s, and that was just all silly shit. But the 1960s counterculture, for as much as I rip on it, Batman was part of that, and it really did help revitalize the character. So everybody out there in TV land, if you think Adam West and the Batman from the 1966 was goofy, well, you're welcome. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't get your Heath Ledger as a Joker. I'm done. Drop mic.
Yeah, and I got to say this, Adam West was such a unique human being. I'm not sure if he was lost in the part or couldn't let go of the past, but he was known for showing up to parties 20 years after Batman. So in the 80s, in fact, he was doing it in the 90s, man. I believe he did it in the millennium.
Oh, he wasn't lost in the part over. He was having fun with it.
Oh, he would go with his
role.
Yeah, he would go in his regalia, man, as Batman.
And sorry to interrupt, but a lot of times he did that for kids too.
Oh, but I'm talking about, I've seen pictures. You go online, you can see like adult part where there's parties, and he's there with a fucking martini. You know, he's Batman.
He was goofy as fuck.
Man, he was unreal. I bet that got him laid so much. I can just imagine with like 5 honeys, half his age.
I wouldn't ask his wife that shit.
Well, oh, God rest him, and I'm sure he never cheated on his wife.
No, but he was a showman. He loved to be the playboy that Bruce Wayne was. But goddamn it, if he wasn't fun, he loved people. He did things, and he just was flamboyant. He was flamboyant, and he loved what he was doing. That's all there is to it. And I thank him for his service as Batman.
Well, and the Britishers here, and I'm going to try to. What I'm going to do, Britishers, tomorrow. I don't know if you'll be available. It'll be late-ish, 6 o'clock, but it'll only be scheduled for an hour and a half. I just want to see if I can get yourself, Day is Dead, and Amanda Wolfchild on, and we can talk about, I don't know, the week that was and whatnot. And then the following week, we should have a guest like we usually do. I'm just going to do that every other week. I'm still working on Dankula. I just want to make sure that I'm not imposing on he's been working himself to death. I think in his mind, he's like, I need to get ready.
I know how that feels.
Yeah, I can't believe you're on here. I was on with Butter earlier, and I was like, man, she just wanted you on for your wonderful accent. And I was like, man, let me see if I can get him on. But I told him right then, I was like, I'll do what I can do, but I know what he's doing. He's doing the voiceover for the week that was for the 50th time.
But in this case, I actually got the voiceover together fairly, easily is the wrong word, but I managed to get that and sort of, it edited within a matter of hours. but then came the editing it into a video. So I think I've just finished. So I've kind of saved, but I haven't rendered it yet and haven't uploaded it yet.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. I was just looking to see if the new one's up. I look for that every week.
So I once I'd done that, I sort of thought, let's see what's going on Twitter. And I saw a direct message by the ogre. And I saw the Hangouts link, so I thought I'd show up.
I sure appreciate it. And like I said, I don't want to blow the cherry for tomorrow, but we were talking earlier with your countryman. He's a Welshman, but I think that still makes him a Britisher. About
It indeed does.
Yeah, the debacle. I don't even know what to call it. It seems planned to me. Like Theresa May knew she was going to.
No, you couldn't have planned it this way. What I mean is, it's too. It's like flipping a coin and getting it to stand on edge. If you know what I mean. So basically, you say heads or tails, and then in the end, it ends up standing on its edge. That's strictly speaking what's happened. So it wouldn't really be possible in a democratic process to kind of plan it this way. It's just basically ineptitude and coincidence kind of coming together. But I don't think that one can kind of one could say that, if one were current conspiratorial, one could argue that Theresa May perhaps would have tried to sabotage her own campaign, but she couldn't have known the exact outcome.
I'm not going to. We talked about this in private yesterday, I believe. So, okay, you don't think she knows what the backbenches are talking about? You don't. I mean, it just seems contrived to me that she did the vote for her when she knew she had the power, and then she did this vote, and then suddenly it went the way she thought it wouldn't go. I think she's run, yell, and tell, and she does not want y'all out of the Brexit. She don't want the Brexit.
Well, I mean, she was a Remain politician when it actually came to the campaigning for Brexit. She was on the Remain side, even though she kept herself very much to herself. She was one of these politicians that played it very carefully, just in case she lost. She didn't want to have offended to the winning side. And of course, it worked for her because she became prime minister.
Okay, and that's it. I really don't want to talk about it much more because I'm going to ask you. I got some questions that I've generated just for you tomorrow, and hopefully I will adjust the time for you, Britisher, just like I would for Dankula or anybody else. So if it's too late tomorrow, we'll figure out a time. It don't have to be 6 o'clock my time, which will be 11 o'clock your time. And I'm not going to do the early thing tomorrow. It'll be Wednesday. But what I want to ask you is, because we talked in private, and if you don't care about it right now, about the radio, the Saturday thing. It's been a long time desire of mine. I did voiceover in Orlando, Florida in the early 90s when I was very young.
But as you know, I have told you, one notices that you have done voiceover because you definitely have an American radio voice.
And that's the Britisher. No, I'm just yeah, of course. I've worked hard on it. One of the first things I ever did in school was a project, and we had to give a presentation to the class. And what I did was I worked out a radio bit. I couldn't play music in the class. The teacher said, no, it has to be all you. So I'd stopped him. I was like, that's a great tune from insert artist here. And then blah, blah, blah. And I would do my little 15, 20-second spiel because I've always wanted to do. And it comes to find out, Clint is always, so he's probably going to do this. And we might try to cross-promote each other's small channels in this way. But we want to try to revive a thing that I do believe the United States invented.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead. And let me say this, and then go ahead, Clint. And that is a live DJ actually picking the songs that you're going to hear and actively listening to what you want to hear and play them. Now it's all robots, and that's it.
Yeah, it's completely lost its human touch. And it's funny when you're just describing that story about you in class. I used to do this. Like, I used to tape myself playing songs and things like that when I was a kid. I did very similar things because I've literally wanted to do this for so long. When I was a kid, I actually wanted to be a radio jockey. But I never went into it because I could tell by the time I was like in high school or whatever that the radio was just trash then, and that was in, you know, the late 90s. And it's only devolved into now robots and computers and stuff. There's no point. It's a corporate MSM fake news type of operation. All they care about is the money from their sponsors and all that. There's no human touch left involved. It's just soulless and sucked out. And so we're going to change that.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
hope
think
so.
you're right in saying that it was the Americans who invented disc jockeys in that regard on the radio. I believe you'll no doubt be able to tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. I believe that's how BB King got his name.
Ooh,
Because
no, I
I
can't
believe
tell you
he
that.
actually worked at a radio station that was mainly sort of catering for sort of a black area. And he was the one who just basically obsessively put on old blues records.
What
And
does
that's how he
BB?
became
What does BB
Blues
stand
Boy.
for? Huh?
that as I say, that was that was the nickname he gained.
But
BB for
what did?
Blues Boy.
No. That's
Blues
that's no. I know that. I didn't know about that he worked in as a disc jockey, but I do know what BB stands for. And it's not Blues Boy.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
It's Big Black. That was his nickname amongst everybody because he was always a really big guy, man. It was Big Black King. And so all that Blues Boy, that must be more like melon farmer stuff for you English.
Every other internet source would have to disagree with you.
Of course they would, but they would disagree with me on a lot of stuff that's blues legend that goes through. Man, I'm not even going to start pumping out names, but
Well, I just put on the side chat there the information that I picked up.
yeah, I'm sure of it. I did not know that he was on in music, but I've heard the Blues Boy thing. It's not Blues Boy. They called him Big Black. That was...
I just didn't know his name was originally Riley.
Oh, yes, he was Riley.
That was what blew me away. I would have figured,
Oh,
like,
gracious.
Whoever that is.
He just got an honorary mute. He'll fix it. Yeah, if you
I didn't
do
know.
that,
I didn't really know his name was Riley. I thought it was actually something more basic, like Jack or John or James or
no, and his last name
Alfred
wasn't
or something.
His last name wasn't King. In fact, BB King, Albert King, and Freddie King, none of their last names were King. It was like it was blues. You know how many lead bellies were there? Does anybody know?
Oh, there's
don't
a
know.
long distinguished line of lead bellies here in Monmouthshire. You know, the landed gentry.
There you go. Landed
You know,
gentry.
lead bellied the third. That's the one who I believe, you know, was a major officer at the Battle of Waterloo. Sorry, I'm going gaga here. I'm overworked.
Oh no, it's all right, Fred. In fact, I ain't going much longer, mate. I got stuff to do tomorrow, and then I do want to do our little hangout. I haven't even talked to the girls yet. I haven't talked to Amanda Wolfchild since like last Monday, and so I want to get the crew together because you're British for the like I don't want to talk about it much more because you know me, I'll go off on a tangent on what I want to talk about.
And I will
ruin
follow
the
you
whole
on
thing.
that tangent.
Yeah, we will. And I might even have, if Clint's available, I would probably have Clint on. I know I would. Also to be because he is, you mentioned it the other day. And like I said, I want to blow my wad. But Clint is like a bigger version of me. And he even lives in Michigan. So it's, you know, we do think a lot alike. We do understand that chemtrails are real. They're spreading aluminum dioxide to try to dumb us down and destroy crops. That's what they're doing. They say that's what they're doing. I'm not guessing it. It's not conspiracy theory. They fucking say that's what it's like if I say, I'm coming to your house tomorrow night at 10 o'clock in the evening, and I'm going to rob you. And you go out to eat with your wife, and then when you come back, you're robbed at 10 o'clock. Do you wonder who robbed you?
We're going off into deep
Oh, yeah.
Alex Jones territory here.
Well, listen to me, folks. They're putting shit in the water. It's making the frogs gay right here. They're humping. The male frogs is humping male frogs.
We haven't really talked about the chemtrails thing, but I definitely have some interesting.
Oh,
Now, you see, one day, Alex Jones will have to have me on his channel, and then he can do one of those rants, and I can very politely interrupt and say, "Now, Alex, are you really sure about that?"
I'll tell you one thing, Britt. I don't try to ride your coattails. You just take me along with you like a fresh breeze on the ocean and with a sailboat. But if you ever got invited to Alex Jones' channel and didn't say, well, surely, sir, unless this garish American posh friend of mine comes along, I will not be on your bogus program. I would be hurt deeply. Anybody else, don't even tell me. I don't even care. But that, man, that would be epic. And I just would want to be there live while you were, because what would you do? That's what you do. You just let him talk and then be like, really, sir?
Are you really quite sure about that? Yes.
You really quite.
Yeah, a bit like, I mean, I think you are familiar, aren't you, with Dad's Army, with the, with that sitcom, that British sitcom.
Yeah, you and Cabbage bombarded me with that.
Captain Mannering always sort of goes off, on some kind of tangent. He always goes completely bananas and throws himself into some new project.
Yeah, the old man there.
Whenever he is about to embark with his platoon on some absolute madness, you can always bet on Sergeant Wilson leaning over just slightly and going, "Now, are you sure that's wise, sir?" He basically always manages to kind of, prick his balloon at this sort of optimum moment when it comes to comic effect.
Well, and you got to give it to Alex. He does bring certain things to light.
Oh, I mean, he's got a massive audience. I mean, let's not deny it. He has got, I think, pretty much, one of the biggest, if not, he must be in PewDiePie territory, mustn't he?
He's got 1 million followers or 2 million followers on. He's in a massive. Plus, if you look at his radio audience, because he is on terrestrial radio, he's on like 250 stations, mate. I mean, he's almost as big as Rush Limbaugh. And so, look, I'm looking over here, straight Sith male. What am I wrong about? I just looked at the chat. I'm probably wrong about chemtrails, but if that's it, hey, man. I also think the world's flat and that it's 6,000 years old, and I think a lot of things that you probably think are wrong. That's just one of them.
So back, just on the chemtrails thing, we've never.
Oh, goodness. You go ahead on that, but I'm going to go light a cigarette, and I was hoping the Britisher would drag us out of the abyss of Very Nearly Viral was on a stream with me, Britt. I was wanting you to come on, but it was after the aftermath. And I think it was theater with a little bit of reality, but they had a spat on Butterbit's live stream. It was unreal. And then the camera just stayed there while they were fighting and whatnot. Like fighting, not fighting, but fighting. And then it just went off. Oh man, it was so real. Oh, so save us from that is what I was saying. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so everyone just basically turns to me to be the savior.
No, I'm not going to leave just like that. I'm not going to leave
right now.
I'm not going to leave just like that. Just like that. But I kind of, what they do in radio and TV? They give a teaser. Can you give a teaser about the week that was without ruining it?
Well, I mean, I think in a week like this, it's more than likely fairly obvious what the week that was is going to be about. So that normally I do a compilation of small stories, whereas this time round in Britain, there is really only one story, and it has dominated everything. I mean, at the beginning of the actual clip, I actually say that, in America, the Comey giving evidence has been a huge thing. It's been wall-to-wall coverage in the US. Whereas over here, it's barely got through. Because the only thing the media has been interested in over here has been the election. Because it has been so calamitous. It has been so unbelievable, the outcome. That nothing else is really being talked about. Still now, if you turn on the media, it's pretty much 24/7. Where is this going to go?
That might be the reason why I've disconnected from the television stations. I'm just so sick of it.
Oh, I think even if you look at the newspapers or anything like that, it's all the same. I mean, basically, all of them are basically trying to kind of work out what exactly is happening, what has happened, and what might happen.
Well, we're going into complete unknown territory. Thank you, Miss May, or Mrs. May, I should say. She had a sure ground and she fucked it up.
I think a 21% lead could be seen as a fairly sure bet. You would have to make an effort, wouldn't you? But if you just basically have absolutely no talent and you're completely incompetent, that is what you manage to do, unwittingly.
Yeah,
And
well,
I mean, I can, I don't go into this particular thing, what I'm about to say now in the week that was clip. But I mean, the ogre knows that I have never been a great fan of Theresa May's. I have always pointed the fact that I found her incompetent, and I was worried once she became prime minister, particularly because she was the prime minister for Brexit, that I felt this doesn't bode well. And lo and behold, before the Brexit negotiations even begin, she's managed to screw it up. And in this case, she's also managed to screw up her own prime ministership, because I think she's toast.
Oh, I think she is toast, but I'd like to get your opinion on the fact that Nigel Farage is coming out of retirement and actually rejoining UKIP. Do you think
he's thinking about it? He's toying with the media at the moment. I mean, yesterday someone tried to nail him down, and he was sort of saying, "Well, he's thinking about it. He isn't really sure." In other interviews, I've heard him say that definitely. So it's not. I think at the moment he is kind of toying with the media and also trying to read what the reaction to it is in terms of the population. Whether they actually react to this in a positive way, or whether everybody is just shrugging, going, "Oh God, give it a rest, Nigel."
that would
So I
make
think
sense
that's
though,
what he's trying to work out.
he's such a showman, though. To me, what you just said, it makes the most sense. It's Nigel will tell you he's going this way, and he'll go that way just because you think he's going that way. I mean, that guy is a mastermind, in my humble opinion. He's on Tucker Carlson an awful lot too.
Well, he has been pretty much a one-man party over here. I mean, UKIP doesn't exist if it isn't
Well, what about
if
Boris?
Nigel Farage isn't there.
No Boris?
Well, Boris is in the Conservative Party. He's not in UKIP.
Oh, okay, right. Well, he was just a Brexiter, I guess. That's why.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
just like I
Two
say,
of them
man,
kind of were on the same side because both of them were arguing for Brexit.
Okay. Well, so that's why it appeared to me. But I should have known he is a. What happened to
Yeah,
old
but
Boris?
he's sort of he's the ultimate Tory boy, Boris. And right now, he must be the front runner for prime minister.
what about
You
Mr.
think that
Smallman?
you think Boris is the prime runner? You think that he
Yes,
might be your?
yes.
Oh
I
man,
think he must be the front runner for prime minister at the moment.
Come on, Boris, man. That'd be,
Well,
no, is that bad?
The Tory party hierarchy don't really like him. That's why they engineered May into position rather than have Boris, because Boris was already the front runner then. But I think now that this has happened, it may well be Boris, and they may well go for him because they feel they don't have any other choice.
As much as I like Boris, I wouldn't like to see him in charge of the Conservative Party. He would just ruin it. Seriously.
I think he would be very much a kind of Trump-style prime minister.
Yes,
just
minus the intelligence.
Well, I mean, no, in some ways, Boris is highly intelligent, but I'm not sure whether it's necessarily the intelligence that kind of lends itself to strategy and tactics. But what I mean is Trump isn't really Republican. He is an entity unto itself who has somehow kidnapped the Republican Party, which is now being dragged along, kicking and screaming against its will. And I think to a certain extent the same thing would happen with Boris Johnson and the Conservatives, which is more than likely why they're so reticent. I must admit, I'm quite taken by that avatar of yours. Is that the crucified Keck?
Yes.
No, it's not a crucified cake. It's a piece of art that's been out for about 15 years. So.
Oh, okay. So do we know what it is that he has in his hand whilst being crucified?
Yes, it's a juggin of beer.
I was gonna say it's a cup of coffee.
So it's not enough. It's not enough for him to be crucified. He is also being tortured by not being able to reach his own beer.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's kind of the ultimate expression of frustration.
Basically, yeah.
He's taken the diet, the poison in the well crucifixion diet. You can see that video.
And just in order to avoid any obscenity charges, they've put him in green nappies.
Basically, yes.
Oh man.
Do you remember there was that frog? I think it became one of the sort of favorite ringtones. It was an extremely annoying little tune, and it was a kind of frog, and it was a version of Axel F. It was a version of Axel F.
Yes, it's very annoying, and let's not go there.
But what I mean is that particular frog had genitalia, and it was incredibly funny to watch how the media kind of went in all sorts of directions in order to avoid showing his willy. And that was almost funnier than the frog itself, if you know what I mean. Because you had them blurring it and all sorts of things, which you sort of thought, it's a cartoon frog. Who could possibly be offended?
Yeah, cartoon frog. People get offended. It seems weird, right? But I mean,
but I guess that's just the nature of censorship. It doesn't have to make sense as long as the people who are the censors are satisfied that they think they've done a good day's work by stipulating that something has to be blurred out, whether it makes any sense or not. Then that is a law unto itself.
Yeah, just like doggone Hercules, man. I put up a piece of art. I'm gonna keep doing it. I found some other pieces of art that are just, I don't know how to say it. Tasteful nudity. It's just
Yep.
art, and whatever.
Yeah.
What can they do? Look at it. Enjoy life.
Well, I mean, who knows what kind of algorithms they've got? I can only imagine that Hercules, the German copy, must have been kind of spotted by some kind of algorithm by Facebook. I cannot understand otherwise how it could have been rejected. But the idea that they put a statue in swimming trunks, that is so beautifully ridiculous that you superimpose swimming trunks onto a statue in order to get the picture onto the internet. So something you could actually see just by going there, it's in full view of the entire landscape, has to be in swimming trunks in order to be allowed onto the internet.
it's insane.
Yeah, well, it goes. I think censorship is insidious. I don't think it. I know it. We should challenge people saying that I can't share something with you. You can't show this. You can't say that, as often as we possibly can. Because if we let them say that, oh shit, her name slipped my mind. The lady with Trump said, if we let people say, oh, that's so horrible, sedition and all this stuff.
Yeah, Kathy Griffin.
Yeah, you remembered it and I didn't. That's kind of funny, because I mean she's irrelevant to me. So basically, the people that don't like the joke, she was irrelevant already. So let her be squatty potties.
Well, if she wouldn't be irrelevant, she wouldn't have to do that in order to get attention.
Well, there you go.
Correct.
I would say this too, Britisher. A lot of people do a lot of things that they don't. I don't agree with you. Because she was okay, maybe she did it just to be in the spotlight again. I'm sure she did, like she did every other thing she's ever done. That's her job, is to be in the spotlight. And so this one backfired on her. I would still, if anybody that don't know who Bill Hicks is, go watch his bit on sucking Satan's cock, on the fact that if you ever sell anything, if you sell Coca-Cola, you're taken off the artistic rolls forever. You are a sucker of Satan's cock. And if Jimi Hendrix sold a Coca-Cola, his music would be shit. And should we take that away? Anything should be able to be said.
Willie Nelson can do his Taco Bell commercials though, because he went through bankruptcy. Remember?
No, I don't give. I would say if Bill Hicks was alive today, man, that he would say, fuck Willie. He's off the rolls.
He said that. That's where I got it from.
Oh yeah, right. You've seen the thing. It's like, oh, he's trying to take the microphone. It's like, oh my gracious.
No, that's what like use the Willie Nelson. He's like, except for Willie because he's in tax trouble or whatever. He's like, oh, I'm selling Taco Bell down by the border.
I'm not going to keep running out on y'all, man. I'm running out of water.
It's
so I
kind
might
of
disappear
remarkable
for
when
another
it
minute.
comes to Bill Hicks, really, that in the end, his greatest success really was in Britain.
Well, I didn't know that. He was very successful in Texas and whatnot too. But
No,
I
he
didn't
was-
know
Yeah, but I mean, he eventually, the video that was actually made of that very big thing he did, where he basically he's with the cowboy hat on and whatever, and he comes on and he's really a rock star on stage. That was in Britain,
Relentless.
and they sort of said that he pretty much found his spiritual home for a short time in Britain.
Yeah.
Because he suddenly got away from the sort of corporate broadcasting rules.
Oh,
That
they
is-
hated him. They hated his guts,
Shit.
man.
Main like ABC, NBC. You know, he couldn't get a hold there, but he could in Britain for some reason on your guys' channel 4 or something like that.
I could well imagine it will have been Channel 4, yes, because I think they are sort of all of them, they are the ones who are much more likely to take a risk.
How many channels are there?
Well, it's difficult to kind of work out because it depends whether you look at the terrestrial channels or whether
That's
you
what I
also-
mean. The old school. Like, what? How many would there have been in 1990 or whatever? 1984.
I could imagine there would have been either, there would either be 5 or 6. So yeah, but I mean, over in America, I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I don't think you know how many channels you ever have.
Well, yeah, I do. But if you go back then, it's ABC, NBC, CBS, and then Fox News came on the scene in the late 80s, early
Okay.
80s, late 80s. So yeah, no, back in
Well,
the
isn't
day.
such a mad proliferation. So it's merely when you really go into cable that it suddenly goes
Yes.
berserk, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And in the old days, it would have been satellite. I remember satellite TV. We used to watch midget wrestling and shit. We used to watch like Japanese stuff. But it wasn't the thing about satellite back in, like, let's say 1985, which is where I'm going back to in this memory. It wasn't so much you had a bunch of choices of American, you had a bunch of choices of everything in the world. So you could
Yeah,
watch
yeah.
news in Singapore, or you could watch whatever kind of sitcom they were doing in Japan, with subtitles. And that
Yeah.
was, man, we
Chinese
used to,
death row interviews.
oh, well, no, not then, but they got them now, sir. They do. I don't know what to
I
feel
still
about that.
find that hard to grasp. That's just so ridiculous.
Did you look into that and see that
No,
I
no, I
wasn't
haven't.
joking?
I haven't followed it up. Not at any time.
Yeah,
but,
I didn't make it up. You can see that they really, that's a really a thing.
No, I fully believe you. I mean, why make up something like that?
I don't know.
But well, yes. I mean, in that case, one has to wonder why would someone in China make up something like that?
Hey, man.
Um,
And you can't make up that. It's like, it's beyond, it's like the truth is stranger than fiction, Brady.
Yes, very, very much so. Yes, because basically, he is someone on death row, and we'll have an interview with him.
Yeah.
Then we'll
To-
give him a
and-
meal, and then we'll get rid of him. It's what was that movie with Schwarzenegger, The Running Man?
yeah, the Running Man.
It
I
has
just,
kind of-
oh,
It has sort of parallels to The Running Man, doesn't it? Where you're
You're
kind of
killing me
treating
with
death
this.
as a game show.
yeah, you're killing me with this, man. It's predictive programming, and I don't want to say that Stephen King's part of it, whatever, but he did maybe unwittingly or maybe wittingly. But yes, in the book by Richard Bachman, because when King did this, he didn't want anybody to know, but he told a few people like anyone would, and one of them bastards leaked it. Because you can tell, too, the writing is very similar. But if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. And I tell you, man, the Running Man, oh man, in the movie, you even said it. It's the big tough guy. In the book, he's actually an asthmatic that probably has early COPD, about 45, in a place where read the book, folks. I won't. I'll go on a
In the
big
book, he's,
tangent for this.
From what I gather from what you're saying here, in the book, he's almost like one of the guys whom Schwarzenegger is dragging along.
Not even. But although he's a very brilliant person, he's going into it to save his daughter, who has pneumonia, and they can't afford it. They live in a tenement house, and they can't. They get old dollars. Old dollars. They call Stephen King calls it, and the new dollars, the deal, the new credit dollar, and an old dollar's worth like a quarter, and he can't find work because he was working at a place and the shields weren't good, and he lost his ability to. It's a great story. Look into it. But the idea of Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the antagonist of The Running Man, that movie is not only not, because everybody says, oh, the movie wasn't as good as the book, and I have my own feelings. There's sometimes the movie's better, but in this case, not only wasn't as good as the book, it was a completely different story, completely different idea. The idea of The Running Man by Richard Bachman was a man down on his luck with nowhere to turn, a very intelligent man that was just pushed aside because he came from the wrong part of town, and he didn't want to go in with the technicos. He calls it like technical people, technicos. Talk about medicos. I love that about Stephen King. He makes up his own nomenclature for whatever world he's in. And if you don't know the book like that, when I say technico, I guess you'd think technical, or medico, you think medical, but it's more than that too. So look, because I told you, man, you got to check out The Running Man. If you don't want to read it, go to audible.com. You cocksuckers owe me $5. Go to audible.com and get the audio book. It's read by a really great narrator. It's about 6-7 hours long. You can listen to it while you're doing whatever. And man, it paints a picture of what. Look, I told Tangent, I'm not going to stop right this second. We are living in a time, Britisher, where it's not, where people are watching Manchester, and not all of us are the same. Some of us look at it like you and I do, with horror. And what could we do to stop this thing in the future? Some folks are looking at this thing right now as we speak with, oh, look at that. How many dead? How much blood? How loud was it? How many killed? And man, that's it. That's the end, because I'll keep going. How could we end this? It is becoming The Running Man. The next thing will not be the Kardashians. It will not be this trumped up thing that happened in Siberia where they were talking about rape and stuff will be all right. No, it wasn't all right. They did. No, but mark my words. In 15 years, if things don't change, Running Man.
Well, thanks for letting me know about that, because I've always been kind of a fan of the movie, even though it's not the greatest movie in the world.
Oh, I love the movie. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't. I just said the book and the movie were not that the book was. I said it very carefully. Not that the book was so much better than the movie, but they were absolutely different, completely different. I love the movie. I've watched it 50 times.
But thanks, because I'm into looking for a new book like that, so that'd be good on Audible.
Oh, dude, you'll love it. If you have Audible, that is Richard Bachman, The Running Man. The guy's got a deep tangent. So Britisher, I'm about out of here, man. I got a little bit of time left, but I gotta get geared up, man. I got stuff to do tomorrow. I gotta cut the grass, sir, and I have a helper coming tomorrow. They were supposed to be here today, and I'm not gonna fire them this time because help's hard to find. But I've got to cut the grass, and then I want to do this thing with. So will you do me a favor, Britt? I hope you girls are watching. Would you ask the girls to show up tomorrow whenever it's convenient for you? Because I ask them all the time, and it's easy for them to say no to me.
Well, he's away at the moment, so...
I see. I know he's muted. So I'm going to keep going, though. I see that. I'm looking at it. Yeah, so, really, Mr. Ogre, the girls will be eating out of my hands, sir.
Dude, I love impressions of him.
Oh, man. I shouldn't do that to him. He's just a good mate. So I expect when I tease him that he gets it. I'll say this. He only teases me when we're not face-to-face. If he, does a video... I mean, my gracious. Watch the... probably everyone here has seen the Poisoning the Well promotion video he did for them.
Yes, it's awesome.
Some people don't get that, Clint. Some people are like, oh, he's such a dick. He was being mean or whatever.
What?
Oh, yeah. He did a video a while back for someone that you could go in his archives if you're that persistent. Go look and find out who. But he did one for somebody at my request. I've never asked him to do another one ever. And oh man, he did a really great little deal. But he was the Britisher. He just said, you know, some things that I don't, you know, it was like, I don't always agree with it. I don't agree with this person or with what's going on, but blah, blah, blah. And stated the fact that he did think that the overarching principle of what was happening to this human being was bad. But in doing so, he was very British and very the Britisher and told the truth about a lot of things. And they just didn't get it. And for poisoning the well, I would say he wasn't, it was different, but it was the same. I mean, if anyone would expect my brother to do what do we call it, a shameless plug for them and not, you know, give a little, then they don't know my brother and they should just stay away from him. They don't get it. They're not in on the joke. And boy, poisoning the well was. I say it as often as I can. I really look forward to a time when the Britisher and them maybe they'll do something, the three of them, because I could just see that just sparking off, man. It'd be great.
Yeah, they got good chemistry together, I think. And I did send the Britisher a couple tweets today because I was watching some videos of Catfish Cooley, so he can see the English language truly butchered up in hillbilly fashion.
Yeah, and I don't know. What am I going to do? I'm gonna set a time. I got a time limit in my head. It's probably like 10 more minutes. So this has been... What?
Oh, sorry. Never mind.
No, what were you saying?
I was thinking that you guys couldn't hear me for a second.
Oh, yeah. Just a bulldozer's getting late. And we 10 minutes and I'm gone. I'm gone like a fart in a windstorm. Got to do my thing. I let Nigel Farage out in the yard yesterday for the first time in 8 months. My prized rooster, man. He's out there now. And last night I didn't feel great. I streamed. I did not feel great. The weather changed right now. You can probably hear it in my nostrils, in my I'm sinusy. When it goes from coolish to hot to coolish to hot, high doggone humidity this time of the year, pollen blowing. The ogre feels about 55-60% of good.
Yeah, no, I feel you there. I'm the same way, man.
Well, I bulldogged through it, mate, to get to the winter because I love the winter. Clint, I don't know about you, but when the snow's blowing, it's freaking cold, 15 degrees. I love it.
Yeah, that's definitely different because I hate the winter.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's so much wrap up to do on this. RPR, thank you for coming by. It was great to speak to you earlier about the song we're doing. That's going to be a good time, brother. Oh,
yes. I'm looking forward to that. I was a bit nervous at the beginning of the project, but now I'm a lot easier.
Oh, you're doing great. You're going to be great. But I noticed by the wicked laughter when he arrived that maybe the Britisher was listening to that entire diet, to the whole thing.
I just heard the last of it. I just heard the end of it.
Oh, thank goodness. Don't replay it later.
Michiganese talking about the weather.
No. Michiganders.
Yes, I know, but I prefer Michiganese.
No. Michigan.
He's trolling you.
I know. We both know it. But we got two of us here right now, mate. That's Michiganders. No, I don't know. Michiganese.
Well,
that sounds like something.
It's, I won pronunciation points with draft over drought. So if I say it's Michiganese, then it's Michiganese.
It's drought. It's drought. And it's Worcester. It's not Worcester. It's Worcester.
I think I've just triggered Mr. Review.
It's Worcestershire deer sauce, is what I learned.
Yes, precisely. Yes.
It's a little bit like arguing Leominster in the UK. Is it Leonminster or Leominster?
Well, who was it? Which comedian was it that did that song? You say tomato. I say tomato. You say tomato.
Oh,
who was it? It was an old classic, isn't it? That one.
Yeah.
The one with the nose.
I can't remember. I know what you're talking about though.
And then then he
that's gonna
goes
kill
goes
me.
into the next line, which is I say potato, you say potato, which is kind of taking Britishness to the next level.
Yeah. You say dropped and I say drought.
Yeah, but do you really say potato? Does anybody? Nobody says that,
No.
right?
That's what I meant. As I say, that was taking Britishness to the next level.
So, but what
No,
about
no.
what about the other word that begins with a T? How do you say that for real?
Tomato?
Okay, all right. So that was the part
Yeah,
that
no.
wasn't a joke.
In that regard, that part of the song is correct. That is actually taking from the differences in languages.
Because tomato, man, that's killing me. But I've got I've got about 54 tomato plants planted in the backyard. I hope they do well this year. Tomato,
Well,
that's
there
too
we
hard
go.
to
We
say.
are civilizing the ogre at last.
And you British aren't above that. Y'all are the ones that have invented like the shortening of names that I know of. It's because it's probably because I speak English. But it's always over here it's you know somebody and it's like ogre, right? And it'll be og before you know it, or o, or what up, Ogie? It'll be something like that. I think we get that from you.
It's how we came by spotted dick for dessert. Yes.
Oh gracious, please tell me how's that?
Well, no, as I say, because Dick would be short for Richard.
So it's really spotted. You're saying it's spotted Richard is what it
Well,
was.
it would have to be. Yes.
But it looks like a penis with spots on it.
Yes, but it actually isn't. It is no penile reference as such.
But it looks like a great big penis with raisins in it.
That's
I've had it. He's not. He can't answer. He's laughing. I'm glad I made you laugh, man. I'm just saying that it looks like the phallic reference is there. So be it Richard or be it Dick, it looks like a big dick with raisins in it.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't that one of the sort of highlights of that film King Ralph? Are you familiar with that one with Ben Goodman?
John Goodman. Yeah, it's been a long.
Yes.
Yeah. John Goodman,
Good
yeah.
man. Genius, man. Genius.
Because I think it's when Peter O'Toole presents him with the various dishes, and he says, "And this here, Your Majesty, is spotted dick." And John Goodman's face at that moment is just absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, he's something else, man. I tell you. What a good movie. He's not been.
Well, actually, I
although
think that movie flopped.
well, but
It
it was
didn't
a
go
good
down
one.
well in Britain, and it didn't go down well in America, which was bizarre because it actually was a very good film.
Well, what about the Big Lebowski, Clint? That was kind of a flop in the theater, wasn't it?
Yeah, as far as I know, because I didn't even see. I watched it when it came out on video. Like I think my dad rented it or something. I saw like pieces of it, and then I never actually saw it till college. And a buddy of mine's like, "Let's go watch The Big Lebowski," and we watched it, and we just were dying laughing, dude. We just watched it a million times after that.
I never seen it. It's what we call a cult classic. But
Correct.
yeah, that was a flop too. But Goodman, man, there's a scene in there where they're like, they're bowling, right? And and the guy, this Puerto Rican guy played by Turturro,
Mike,
John Turturro.
Yes,
He goes over the line just a wee bit with his toe. They got a laser beam there, and he's like, "You're over the line, John Goodman." He's like, "No, I went over the line." He's like, "No, you're over the line." And then suddenly John Goodman just starts talking about, "Think about our boys over there on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and now you're gonna lie to me about," and pulls out his piece and just starts fucking shooting it in the bowling alley, man. Holy shit!
Well,
What
no,
just-
he just brandishes real hard. He shoves.
Oh,
it
I'm sorry. Sorry. As usual, I took it over the line. But to me, I mean, when you see him, because he's like me, I told you, Britisher, you and a lot of people will get away with shit that I can't. Because I'm not quite John Goodman. Hell, Clinton's got it worse than I do. Because he can just walk in the joint while people are fighting, and they'll arrest him. He could just be walking into the bar, sober as a bell. There's two guys fighting over there. The cops get there. They just arrest him. Because obviously, the big guy over there did the... And that was... So I did exact... But, yeah, the gun brandishing... just check... Have you seen The Big Lebowski, Britisher?
Yes, I have.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All right.
and John Goodman does rage very well. Not only in that movie, but in several others. He has got that sort of ability to go complete psychopath.
When he's pouring the ashes out. The fucking ashes blowing back into the dude's face, man. He's like,
Yes, I think they referenced. I think they referenced that one in Frasier, didn't they? There's an episode in Frasier where they kind of refer to that, where there's this aunt who they could never stand and they could never stand,
Just
and they end up with just covered in ashes.
you think that was a send up for the Lebowski?
Yes, yes. I mean, basically, if you make a comedy, if you make a sitcom where you make over 260 parts or whatever, you do have to start finding ideas elsewhere. There's absolutely
yeah.
no way you can make up all of that off the back of your head. So
Well,
they
and
will
also,
look
you know-
for things where can you find other jokes.
Well,
clearly
imitation
they
is
must
the
have found
highest
that
form.
one clearly they must have found that one in The Big Lebowski.
Yeah, an imitation, is the highest form of flattery.
Yeah, as long as you make something of your own of it, if you don't just copy it outright. So basically, you take the basic idea, but then you put your own spin on it. Then I think it's perfectly okay, and I think the industry kind of understands that. Look, you can't make 260 episodes and not take stuff from somewhere.
Man, they did, and that has to be the best spin-off in my mind in history. There's because
yes,
that was from the Cheers. Have you ever seen an episode of Cheers?
Oh yes, I've seen episodes of Cheers. Yes, but
What did you think about it compared to?
No, it was never as good as Frasier. Frasier was just that was truly exceptional. I mean, nothing quite compared to Frasier.
Well, you like
I think
Niles.
I think I've told you before that I would say Frasier and Dad's Army are more than likely the two greatest sitcoms ever made.
Well, that's humbling coming from a Britisher. But Niles is the one that did it for you boys.
Oh, Niles was just phenomenal. I mean, there is one episode where you may recall he's kind of waiting for a date, and he spots that the crease on one of his trouser legs isn't quite perfect. So he gets the ironing board out, and there's absolutely nothing said. It's a complete silent comedy. And he tries to kind of iron that crease to perfection. But while he's doing that, he manages to set the ironing board on fire. He manages to set the sofa on fire. It just basically it goes completely out of control. And in the end, he's got basically smoke rising from the ironing board and the sofa, which he's had to put out. He's got what is it? The fire extinguisher. He let that off and couldn't control it. So there's just fire extinguisher foam everywhere. And at the same time, he is in his underpants, having fainted in the open doorway. So you never actually get to see her arrive, but you just know that this is the image which is going to greet her, and it is just perfection.
Yeah.
Always imagine that has been done without a single word spoken.
Well, he was the Edward Norton, but he took it to the honeymooners, Ed Norton. He took it to another level where Ed Norton would do the finger cracking thing and it's his turn to shoot and you'd pool or something. They're out any skit, whatever he's about ready to do, he just would take the mounting tension up to the level where you're cringing so hard it hurts you. And Niles did that,
I mean they were perfect, but the script writing in that was absolutely second to none. It was very, very cleverly done. If you analyze it a bit, and of course, being the pedant, I do these kind of things. I do like picking things apart. How does this work? Why does it make me laugh? And it is fantastically well done.
Well, I can't wear you out, Britisher. Man, it's been a long day for me. It was so good to be on with Butter. I actually made a choice earlier to do church today at the normal time, but right as I was about ready to do the thing and say what it was going to be about, whatever, do the little, the whatever, set it up. Butter Bits was going on, and it was so much fun. Very nearly viral. They make me laugh. They make me happy. And so anyway, this is the end. Look, folks, be good to your friends. Be good to your family members. Be good to your loved ones. Be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology. Especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge, you'll never be able to forget about it. Because constant viewers, at a time you think not, your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your life, and your live stream you tried to pull off on Saturday will depart from you. Hey, Cindy Rough Diamond. I ain't seen you around, man. I hope you ain't dead.